It's a big day at the Commission investigating claims of state capture. For more, we're joined by senior legal journalist Karyn Maughan, joining us on Skype. Karyn, great to have you with us as always. There was so much anticipation before the testimony of Nomvula Mokonyane, but first, let's look at the claims about intelligence. Lots of speculation there too, and Arthur Fraser, we saw his legal counsel speaking. What sort of information might he have if he starts spilling the beans?
Well, the important thing, Francis, is to remember that he's responding to allegations made against him by, amongst other people, Mo Sheikh, Gibson and Njenje, and Jeff Matatuka, who was recently giving evidence at the Commission, primarily in relation to the principal agent network, which I think Njenje had said was involved in nefarious or corrupt activities, fraudulent activities, totaling about 600 million rand. Now, the PAN project, of course, was a great deal of, was a huge part of the subject matter of author Jacques Pauw's book, The President's Keepers. We know that Arthur Fraser has continually denied that there were the serious allegations made against him, that there was any real truth to them. He claims that he has been wrongfully targeted, and this will really be an opportunity for him to give his side of the story as to what exactly he says happened. Now, the PAN, the principal agent network, a very, very pivotal issue because it relates to spies and the management of spies within the SSA. So one doesn't know what he will say, and indeed, Francis, what the inquiry will do with that evidence, if indeed it's top secret. Will it ever see the light of day, or will there be certain security or intelligence concerns that stop that from happening?
Yeah, hard one. Security interests versus public interests. All right, let's move to the former Minister Nomvula Mokonyane, facing serious claims that she basically took bribes from Bosasa, claims of chickens for a party, and a claim she got 50,000 rand a month. They provided her with security as well, it's claimed. What was her overall response to those serious allegations?
Well, she has denied any allegation that she received money, for example, and she's cast a lot of dirt over these assertions that she received alcohol, food, meat, etc. from Bosasa. What was interesting, of course, was that there has been some corroboration to a degree of these averments that Bosasa, in fact, provided maintenance of her home, helped manage her security system, despite her assertions early on in her testimony that she had actually been provided those services by the state. We know, of course, contractor Charles Leroux, who was subcontracted by a Bosasa official to provide these maintenance issues to her on at least 10 occasions, confirming that he had in fact done so. Her saying that that was really an issue that was managed by her late husband, and raising questions, very much denying that she had any direct knowledge of it. But it was something that was repeatedly questioned by the Viva Noche and the DCJ today, clearly aware that that is a pivotal issue, and clearly trying to get her kind of evidence about this evidence from Agrizzi that, about the interior of her home, his knowledge of her home, to corroborate to some degree the testimony that he had given.
Yeah, and she said he could have been told that information. She also defended her relationship with the late Bosasa head Gavin Watson, attacking her attacker, like you say, Angelo Agrizzi. What did she say about them both?
This was fascinating because, the Watson family have always been known as being very, historically strong anti-apartheid activists. The one brother, of course, very, outspoken as a rugby player in terms of the segregation of sports. And, the family received a great deal of support. And when there were boycotts during apartheid of white-owned businesses, they were excluded from those activities because of their support of the anti-apartheid struggle. So she very much went there. She said, that she'd had this long relationship with Gavin Watson. We know, for instance, that she attended his funeral, that he was a good person, that he'd been falsely maligned by Angelo Agrizzi. And in the last and dying minutes of the inquiry, saying that this issue, all the Bosasa revelations, these allegations that the ANC was essentially, sponsored and corrupted with gifts and sponsorships, etc., that was just a consequence of the so-called fallout between these two men, one of whom is deceased. Of course, by contrast, describing Angelo Agrizzi as a misogynist, a racist, and a hateful man who was driven by his own motives to falsely malign her and make all these allegations against her, which of course we know have been quite specific in a lot of instances and have in part been corroborated by certain other witnesses.
So finally, very quickly, just tell us more about, because there's also this overall alleged relationship between Bosasa and the ANC. Bosasa sponsoring cakes, sponsoring events. What light did she shed on that overall relationship?
She fully admitted it, but she, repeatedly stated, and even at the end of this testimony, that there was nothing untoward with this, that a number of companies, and she raised, of course, the Rupert family, that they'd had a relationship with the ANC, that this kind of sponsorship was indeed part of how the party operated, that it was fully disclosed, that this was transparent and obvious, and there was nothing untoward with it. Of course, we know that the Special Investigating Unit has completed a 2009 investigation, which has actually, of course, led to, Angelo Agrizzi and Linda M.T., a very senior former Commissioner of Correctional Services, being charged over tender fraud involving 1.6 billion rand. Certainly the NPA and the SIU looking at these cases in the light of potential criminal action. And the coming days, Francis, will show whether the state regards the kind of, averments given by, the former minister as being concrete evidence that there was no criminality, or if indeed, as we've seen Hermia and Cronje promise in Parliament in May, there will be prosecutions linked to the Bosasa revelations and people will be facing charges quite soon.
All right, we watch with bated breath. That was senior legal journalist Karyn Maughan. Thank you very much. Now, this week, Parliament's